What if the people you trusted the most, the people you laughed with, leaned on, celebrated with, simply disappeared when life got messy? Think about that for a second. Imagine how that would feel. Pretty heartbreaking, right? Well, that's not just a what if for Johnny Depp. That's real. That's his reality. And in his latest interview, he's finally talking about it, really talking. No sugarcoating. No Hollywood gloss. Just honesty. This isn't the kind of interview full of movie promos or surface-level sound bites. This was personal. It was raw. And honestly, it hit hard. Because Johnny didn't just share a few Hollywood behind-the-scenes stories. He went deeper. He opened up about something many of us can relate to, something that cuts deeper than any courtroom drama or celebrity scandal. He talked about betrayal. He talked about fake friends. He talked about the people who said they cared, who said, "I'm with you," until they weren't. He talked about the silence that followed. Not just from the media, but from people he once called family. Picture this. You're walking the red carpet. Smiling. Flashing cameras. Famous faces everywhere. And next to you, people who cheer for you. People who hug you. People who whisper in your ear, "I've got your back." But then something happens. A scandal. A rumor. A trial. And suddenly, those same people, they vanish. Not a phone call. Not a message. Not even a, "How are you doing?" Just, gone. Now tell me, wouldn't that kind of silence be louder than anything else? Because sometimes it's not what people say, it's what they don't say. And in Johnny's case, that silence, it spoke volumes. He said it clearly, and painfully. When I was in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons, some people I trusted disappeared. And that told me everything. That line hits. Because when you're going through the worst season of your life, and the people you expected to be there just fade away, it changes you. Not in a loud, dramatic way. But slowly. Quietly. It makes you look around and ask, who's real? And that's what Johnny had to face. Not just headlines. Not just courtroom tension. But a deep personal reckoning. He realized that not everyone in his circle was actually on his side. Some were just there for the good times. For the fame. For the parties. For the perks. But when things got dark, they disappeared like smoke. Now here's the thing, Johnny didn't name names. He didn't call anyone out. He didn't spill gossip or throw people under the bus. And maybe that's what made his words even more powerful. Because when someone tells the truth without bitterness, without rage, just quiet clarity, you know it comes from a real place. That's strength. That's control. That's growth. And the truth? It doesn't need drama. It just is. Now, let's step into his shoes for a moment. Johnny Depp, a man who's spent more than 3 decades in the spotlight. He's been the heartthrob, the rebel, the pirate, the misunderstood genius. He's been celebrated, awarded, admired. But fame is a funny thing. It loves you until it doesn't. It lifts you up, and then watches as you fall. When the trial with Amber Heard started, it wasn't just a legal battle. It became a global spectacle. Suddenly, his life, his private messages, his darkest moments, his relationships, they were all on display. Judged. Mocked. Analyzed. Debated. Every word picked apart. Every look overanalyzed. Millions of people watching, not as supporters, but as critics. People who never met him. People who only saw headlines. People who didn't care about the truth, they just wanted a story. And through all that noise, where were his so-called friends? They weren't there. They didn't stand beside him in public. They didn't post support. They didn't even text. They just disappeared. And that silence? It probably hurt more than anything Amber Heard said. Because when you're being dragged by the world, you need your circle. Your people. Even just one person who says, I believe you. I'm with you. But when even that doesn't come, that's the kind of loneliness that doesn't go away. In the interview, Johnny didn't just relive the trial. He reflected. He said something that really stuck with me. The trial wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. And that line is everything. Because we often think people go to court to win. To prove the other person wrong. To get justice. But sometimes, it's not about any of that. Sometimes, it's just about saying, this is what really happened. This is my story. This is the truth, even if no one believes it. And for Johnny, it wasn't about public opinion. It wasn't about the fans or the fame. It was about clearing his name. About finding peace in a world that had decided he was guilty before hearing the facts. He admitted it was hard. Reliving those painful memories. Sitting in court while strangers judged him. Hearing his name become a punchline. But in that pain, he also found freedom. He said, sometimes, the truth is all you have left. And it's enough. And you know what? He's right. Because when you've lost your reputation, your peace, your trust in people, what's left? Truth. That's the anchor. The thing that doesn't shake, even when everything else does. He didn't go into court looking for applause. He didn't expect people to cheer. He just wanted to breathe again. To sleep. To heal. And maybe most of all, to be seen. Not as a tabloid headline. But as a human being. And while so much attention went to the trial, the tears, the recordings, the verdict, most people missed something deeper. Johnny's quiet grace. The way he didn't lash out. The way he didn't seek revenge. The way he never pointed fingers. He just spoke his truth. And let that be enough. He never told us who left him. But he didn't need to. We could all feel it. And in doing that, he reminded all of us of something powerful. You don't always need to fight back with noise. Sometimes, just standing in truth is the loudest thing you can do. That kind of maturity. That kind of wisdom. It comes with scars. It comes after you've cried in silence. After you've felt the sting of betrayal. After you've realized the crowd you once entertained might not have really cared at all. But here's the beautiful part. Johnny didn't stay bitter. He chose peace. He chose reflection. He chose to keep going. And that's not weakness. That's real strength. Because anyone can scream. Anyone can post angry tweets. Anyone can try to cancel people. But walking away with your dignity. With your heart still open. That's rare. That's brave. And it shows. It shows that Johnny's not stuck in the past. He's moving forward, not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove to himself that he can. Now, let's bring it home. This isn't just a celebrity story. It's not just about courtrooms or actors or social media buzz. This is a human story. Because betrayal doesn't care how rich you are. Loneliness doesn't care how famous you are. And truth? It belongs to all of us. We've all had moments where we looked around and realized. Some people were only there for the sunshine. Not the storm. And when that happens, it breaks something inside you. But it also teaches you. It makes you wiser. Stronger. Clearer. You stop chasing approval. You stop begging people to stay. You stop apologizing for telling your truth. And maybe that's the biggest gift in all of this. Johnny's story reminds us that even in the darkest chapters, there's light. There's growth. There's healing. But that kind of healing doesn't show up all at once. It doesn't arrive like a sudden sunrise that brightens everything in a second. It comes slowly. Quietly. Sometimes without us even noticing. Healing begins in the small things. In the moments when you stop needing answers from people who never gave you any. In the times you wake up and realize you didn't cry yourself to sleep the night before. In the tiny sparks of strength that come back without warning. Johnny didn't just survive the noise. He learned to live beyond it. That takes time. That takes patience with yourself. And it takes courage, not the kind people cheer for, but the quiet kind. The kind that helps you sit in a room full of memories and say, this doesn't define me anymore. When Johnny faced betrayal, he could have become bitter. And honestly, no one would have blamed him. After everything he went through, the public shaming, the judgment, the humiliation, choosing bitterness would have been the easier road. But he didn't. He chose to reflect instead. To pause. To grow. That choice, it's not loud. It's not glamorous. You won't see it trending on Twitter. But it changes everything. Because growth often starts when your heart is in pieces and you decide, somehow, to start picking them up. For Johnny, that growth came in the form of honesty. He didn't pretend everything was okay. He didn't wear a fake smile and move on like nothing happened. He looked right at the pain. He sat with it. He allowed himself to feel it. And slowly, piece by piece, he began building himself back. That's real courage. That's real strength. Not the kind where you punch through problems, but the kind where you sit quietly in your own truth and say, I'm still here. There's a lesson in that for all of us. Because sometimes, life doesn't fall apart because we did something wrong. Sometimes, it falls apart to show us what was never real to begin with. When fake friends disappear, it hurts, deeply. But it also clears the space for better people to come in. People who don't need you to be perfect. People who show up, not just when you win, but when you're completely lost. People who don't run when things get messy, they sit beside you, even in silence. That's the kind of connection we all deserve. And maybe Johnny's story, as painful as it was, helped him see who those people truly are. Because when you go through a storm, not everyone holds your umbrella. Some stand far away and just watch. But a few, a rare few, they come stand in the rain with you. And those are the ones who matter. Those are the ones worth keeping. So when Johnny talked about healing, he wasn't talking about erasing the past. He wasn't saying it didn't hurt. He was saying that the pain didn't have to be the final word. That there's something waiting on the other side of betrayal. Something like peace. Something like freedom. Something like clarity. And that's where light comes in. Because light doesn't always mean everything's perfect. Sometimes, light just means you can finally see clearly. You see who you are. You see who stayed. And maybe most importantly, you see who you never needed. That kind of clarity is powerful. It doesn't fix everything. It doesn't undo the hurt. But it makes you stronger. Not in the way people expect, but in the way that matters. You stop begging people to believe you. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's idea of you. You stop carrying the weight of other people's silence. And you start walking taller, not because the world changed, but because you did. Johnny's journey is proof that even after being broken, misunderstood, betrayed, you can still choose light. You can still choose growth. Not for applause. Not for revenge. But for yourself. Because you matter. Your peace matters. Your story matters, even if no one claps for it. Healing is messy. It takes time. It looks different for everyone. Sometimes it's crying alone. Sometimes it's laughing for the first time in months. Sometimes it's writing, walking, cutting people off, or starting over. But every step, no matter how small, is part of that healing. Johnny didn't rush through it. He didn't fake it. He allowed the process to be what it needed to be. And that's something we can all learn from. So if you're going through something right now, if your own dark chapter feels never-ending, just know this. It won't always feel this way. The pain won't last forever. The people who left, they were never part of your forever anyway. Keep going. Even if your voice shakes. Even if your heart is still heavy. Even if you're still waiting for the light. Because it's coming. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But slowly, it will. And when it does, you'll look back at this chapter and realize. That was the moment you grew. That was the moment you found your real self. That was the moment healing began. So thank you, Johnny, for sharing your story. For reminding us that silence doesn't have to mean defeat. That truth, even when whispered, is powerful. And that no matter how dark the season, there is always a way back to light. It just takes time. And courage. So, if you've ever had someone walk away when life got hard, know this. You're not alone. And it's not the end. It might actually be the beginning of something better. Now I want to hear from you. Really. Have you been in that place? That moment where you realized someone you trusted wasn't really there for you? What did you learn? How did it change you? Let's talk about it in the comments. Let's share the stuff that matters, the real stuff. Not gossip. Not noise. Just truth. Healing. Growth. And hey, if this video touched you in some way, if it made you feel seen, or reminded you that you're not the only one who's been let down, go ahead and like this video. It tells the algorithm that this story matters. That people care about more than clicks. That honesty still has a place in the world. And if you want more videos like this, real stories, real people, real lessons, subscribe to the channel. Because here, we don't chase drama. We look for what's real. And we tell it like we're talking to a friend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for making space for truth. Even when it's hard. Even when it hurts. Because at the end of the day, even in the loudest, messiest, most confusing moments, truth will always be enough. See you in the next one.